Welcome everyone. Today we're pulling absolutely no punches. We are conducting a full critical examiner's audit of Paper 2 for the Cambridge AS and A-Level Arabic Language 8680 syllabus. Look, if you've ever felt like the grading for the two passages on related themes is just a complete mystery, you're in exactly the right place. We're acting as your exam turnaround coaches today, looking directly at what senior examiners and subject specialists are demanding from top-tier candidates. Let's just jump right in.
I want you to really let this quote sink in. The difference between a B and an A star in Arabic language often comes down to how well you understand Paper 2. I'm sharing this because the stakes are incredibly high here. Mastering these two passages on related themes is not just another minor hurdle, it is literally the ultimate difference maker for those top-tier grades. Think about it. You're dealing with a total word count of up to 750 words across the two passages. That isn't a massive amount of text, but it's exactly what you do with your analysis of those words that will define your final score.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll decode the core exam principles. Second, we'll master the technical methodology. Third, we're going to find that evaluative edge. And finally, we'll cover the top examiner warnings.
Okay, starting with Section 1, Decoding Core Exam Principles, which is really the foundation of top marks.
Right off the bat, there is a massive, stark contrast between superficial breadth and analytical depth, and the principal examiner reports make this crystal clear. The assessment framework heavily, and I mean heavily, prioritizes deep, logical, and structured reasoning over simply listing off every single thing you noticed in the text. A super common trap candidates fall into is trying to mention a really wide variety of surface-level points. They just scattershot their answer. But the academic benchmarks, they don't reward that. They want analytical depth. They want to see exactly how well you can build a logical, sustained argument in both your structured and extended response questions. It's about quality of insight, not quantity of observation.
And what's actually driving that need for depth? It's the 5 core Cambridge learner attributes: confidence, responsibility, reflectiveness, innovation, and engagement. Now, I know it's easy to dismiss these as just corporate buzzwords, but don't. They are the actual, functional, core learning objectives of Paper 2. When you write your extended responses, examiners are looking for you to confidently assert your points. They want you to reflect deeply on the nuances between the two passages and engage with the related themes in a way that shows real thought. Demonstrating these specific attributes through your structured reasoning is precisely how you hit those highest academic benchmarks.
Moving on to Section 2. Mastering Technical Methodology, the Procedural Framework.
So Paper 2 has incredibly strict linguistic conventions. We can't ignore that. Examiners aren't just scanning your paper for the correct answers, they are scrutinizing your process. They're looking closely at your syntax, your precise vocabulary choices, and your ability to execute effective paraphrasing. You absolutely cannot simply lift or copy-paste text directly from the passages. That's a massive red flag. To capture the highest method marks, the marks awarded for how you arrive at your answer, you have to demonstrate your own personal command of the Arabic language, all while maintaining a rigid, clear structure.
Let's walk through a definitive strategy to make sure you maintain that rigor under pressure. It's a 4-step flow. First, extract. You need to pull the core arguments from both texts. Second, compare. How do the author's viewpoints actually differ, or where do they surprisingly align? Third, synthesize. This is crucial. You have to bring those ideas together using your own words. And finally, conclude with a really well-structured summary. I'll be honest, mastering this exact logical flow is notoriously difficult for students, especially when the clock is ticking. But locking this down guarantees you capture those vital method marks, even if the phrasing in the original Arabic texts feels a little overwhelming at first glance.
Let's push into Section 3, the evaluative edge. This is about thinking like a top candidate.
Getting an A star really all comes down to evaluative thinking. Top-tier students, they never just accept the passages at face value. They actively evaluate the quality of the arguments being presented. To get to that level, you need to question the underlying assumptions made by the authors. You need to weigh alternative interpretations of the text. And most importantly, you have to justify your analysis with specific, concrete, stylistic evidence directly from the Arabic passages. When you step back and critically evaluate the text, rather than just passively summarizing it, you are flashing a giant neon sign to the examiner that says, "I am an A-star candidate." To truly master this kind of evaluation, you have to integrate your analysis. Year after year, principal examiner reports highlight that synthesizing ideas between the two related passages is the absolute most challenging aspect of Paper 2, but it is also the most rewarding. The secret trick here is to build cross-textual connection maps in your head before you write. When you can confidently weave your comparisons between passage A and passage B into one cohesive, integrated response, really showing that you recognize exactly how the themes overlap and diverge, your marks will absolutely skyrocket.
Which brings us to our final section, Section 4, Top Examiner Warnings. We need to help you avoid these fatal flaws.
I want you to think about this for a second. With all the endless hours of preparation students do, why does so many still lose completely avoidable marks in Paper 2? What are the recurring, specific pitfalls that examiners are constantly complaining about year after year? Let's reveal the definitive answers straight from the audit. Here is the top 3 countdown of fatal flaws you have to avoid. Number 1, lifting from the text. We touched on this, but copying sentences word for word instead of paraphrasing will absolutely destroy your mark profile. Just don't do it. Number 2, weak grammatical control. Look, you might have the most brilliant, complex, analytical idea in your head, but it means absolutely nothing if your Arabic syntax is flawed. Precision in your grammar is mandatory to convey complex thought. And number 3, which is honestly the biggest red flag of all, writing generic, unbalanced answers. This happens when a candidate focuses heavily on one passage, totally dissecting it, while largely ignoring the other. You have to treat both texts with equal respect.
This right here is the ultimate examiner alert. The classic mistake candidates make is panicking and providing these generic, pre-memorized essays that simply don't address the specific, unique nuances of the two texts sitting in front of them. So your golden rule is contextual linking. You must tie every single point, every piece of evidence, and every argument directly back to the exact scenarios in the prompt. If you're making a brilliant stylistic point about the Arabic language, but it isn't anchored directly to the text provided, you won't get the marks. It's that simple.
To wrap up our audit today, I want to leave you with one incredibly actionable tip straight from the exam experts. Use a visual story method to encode these strategies. Literally visualize the analytical steps we talked about. Extract, compare, synthesize, conclude. Picturing that flow will help you structure your thoughts when you're under severe exam pressure. So as you head into your next practice paper, ask yourself this. Are you just going to copy words onto a page hoping for the best? Or are you going to critically, methodically synthesize your way into the top mark band? The choice is entirely yours. Keep pushing, keep practicing, and we'll see you in the next explainer.